Bills go through as proposed, they will not be enforced. They're unconstitutional. We swore to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Virginia, and that's what we'll do.
It is public servants at every level of government, and as local as that gentleman is. Yet somehow we have it in our heads that if you wear that black robe, that trumps all the oaths. We take executive branch oaths, whatever they may be, at whatever level, state, local. That man's oath and him being beholden to defending it is every bit as strong as the judicial branch of the federal government. And until we get that straight, we're just going to be chasing our tails on this. That sheriff is exactly right. I will not uphold it, and my right to defend and protect the Constitution and the oath I made to God to do so is every bit as robust as any federal judge anywhere.
It's the point, Josh, we've been trying to make to our audience for several years, what Todd is emphasizing there, which is these judges, they can issue whatever they want. They cannot carry out their own orders. And you go back to when we had the government shutdown. I think it was over the sequester in the Obama years, and you had the Washington Mall and the Vietnam Memorial, things that are open. If you go to D.C., they're open. You can walk up to them anytime, day or night. I mean, they're just constantly available to see. And he shut them down in order to make it look, like these were vital government things, and this is what happens when we have government shutdowns. And you had government workers come off of furlough to enforce these shutdowns and remove veterans from their own memorials. All throughout history, in any form of government, whoever seeks to impose the tyranny cannot do so unilaterally. There must be a bureaucracy that essentially is willing to say we were just following orders.
Yep.
That's what is always required to carry out these dictates.
Yeah. So first of all, before getting into the law, and I obviously do want to wade into that, the people that we just saw, and that gentleman at the end who I guess works part-time in a gun shop, to me, these are civil rights marchers. They are literally marching to defend what Justice Joseph Story in his 1833 commentary on the Constitution referred to as, quote, the palladium of all our liberties, which was the right to keep and bear arms. And Steve, to your point, maybe my favorite opinion that Justice Clarence Thomas has ever written, and there's a lot to choose from there, was his 50 to 60 page lengthy concurrence in McDonald versus City of Chicago, a 2010 case that actually incorporated the Second Amendment as against the states. And Justice Thomas, who obviously grew up as a very poor black man in the Jim Crow South, talks at length about what you just talked about, which is how the Second Amendment was deprived to blacks in the South, how it was used as a tool of subjugation. So it's very inspiring and empowering for me to see a black man, like we saw in that video, talk about this, because that's exactly right, historically speaking. So getting into the law a little bit, Steve, you're obviously right there too. Alexander Hamilton, Federalist number 78, one of the most widely discussed and often quoted Federalist papers of them all. He says that the judiciary shall have, quote, neither force nor will, but merely judgment, and depends upon the efficacy of the executive branch, even for the enforcement of its own actions. And to Todd's point, it is absolutely correct that every official in the judicial, legislative, and executive branch at both the federal and the state level takes their own independent oaths to the Constitution. That oath is to the Constitution, of course. That oath is not to the Constitution as bastardized and erroneously misinterpreted by a bare, slim Anthony Kennedy, David Souter-led 5-4 majority on the U.S. Supreme Court. So to that point, I'm blanking on her last name, but Kim in Kentucky after Obergefell,
Kim Davis.
The woman Kim Davis,
yeah.
Yes. So I actually talked about her in a law school paper. I wrote my final year of law school. I defended Kim Davis. I defended her right to do what she did, because for this exact reason, that her oath was to the Constitution of the United States. Her oath was not to the Anthony Kennedy-led majority in the constitutional abomination known as Obergefell versus Hodges.